Thank you very much for staying on. This is the marketplace. Now, the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, PURC, is likely to recommend about 12.5% reduction in utility tariffs. This is what Joy Business is picking from persons with knowledge of the tariff review. This is despite the fact that most of utility companies proposed more than 50% hike in tariffs. There's more in this Business Desk report.
Joy Business is learning that all the utility companies proposed significant increase in utility tariffs with VRA, which did not have its proposal disclosed during the recent public engagement, asking for some 128% adjustment. The PURC initially suggested a 27% increase after considering several scenarios, like the 5% PURC in collectibles by governments in the past. In terms of subsidies, the Commission then looked at considering 12% reduction that is likely to be announced. Sources say the Commission also raised questions with some of the proposals put forward by the utility companies in terms of power generation and projected revenue going forward, a development that forced the Commission to seriously scrutinize some of the numbers put forward for approval. It is not clear for now when the announcement will be made. However, sources say it could happen before the first quarter of this year.
Now, the Chief Executive Officer of Kofi Krom Pharmacy, Kofi Adwejikum, has lauded government's move to take off the VAT and the National Health Insurance Levy on some selected imported pharmaceutical products. This, he noted, has made the cost of buying medicines relatively lower in the country. Government in 2017, in the budget, removed the VAT on selected imported medicines, a situation seen to be positively impacting the market. Kofi Adwejikum was speaking in an interview with Joy News.
My organization has started benefiting from the exemption of the VAT. So, for example, if I were to pay 17.5% on a given consignment, now I am exempted. And I have this particular money to be able to do other things apart from that. Because I didn't suffer the 17.5%, the price of medicines are coming down automatically. Oliver Twist, we always would want to ask for more. The issue is that, you see, if the government shows good faith in coming to the discussion table with a hand of friendship, you would also have to reciprocate. So the Chamber of Pharmacy also promised that because of the ECOWAS external tariff regime, the pharmaceutical industry is enjoying 10 percentage points relief of duty. All duties on pharmaceutical products are zero rated. 0%. And now some selected pharmaceuticals are also going to get, or they have started enjoying 17.5% relief. So we are talking about 27.5% off. I'm talking about taxes on medicines, on some of the selected items. And it's a huge relief to the pharmaceutical industry. We are praying that in the fullness of time, the basket of these exemptions will be expanded so that many more pharmaceutical products will get this VAT removed. And then the cost of medicines will come down. And then the National Health Insurance will be sustainable. And then the patients will also.
Let's now turn attention to the downstream petroleum sector, and the Institute for Energy Security, IES, anticipates local prices of fuel to go down at the fuel pump stations in the first pricing window of March. Now, this, according to the IES, is on the basis of the stability of the local currency, the over 6% reduction in the price of gasoline, and the average 3.33% reduction in Brent crude price. It says the second consecutive dip in prices at the pump should be a major relief for petroleum consumers, considering the several price hikes experienced in the last few months. The Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana also projected about between 2 and 3% reduction in the price of petrol soon. Let's now reach out and speak with the principal researcher of the IES, Richmond Roxon, to give us some more clarity into this. All right, so unfortunately we lost him on the line there. We'll certainly get back to him in the course of the program. But moving on, the Ghana Chamber of Mines has reacted to concerns raised by the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, that mining firms in the country are being accused of sidestepping the institution mandated to determine the purity of gold exported as actual level proceeds. The Vice President disclosed this at an IMF meeting on the extractive sector in Accra on Tuesday. Suleiman Koni is Chief Executive of the Chamber.
And we have an engaging, we actually had a good fortune to be interacting with the current management team not too long ago. And we were commended as a chamber for collaborating and cooperating. So it's a bit surprising when statements are made to the fact that PMMC, for example, for a very long time was prevented from doing its work, i.e. assaying, for gold before it's actually exported out of this country. And truth be told, it was only late 2016 when we actually received a letter from the then Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Neil Samuels, stating that PMMC had been appointed as a national assayer for gold, including production from the last...
What does that mean, the national assayer?
What it means is that PMMC will now have to assay gold produced in this country prior to shipment. It was only, I think, around October 2016. That was the first time we got a letter in the history of this country. And we started working with them. So, as a state, we have done a pilot, because the first time they are supposed to do this, and we need to make sure that we go through the process, they understand the protocols, the security arrangements, and all of that. So we're in the process. We've done a pilot. We are a pilot of 4 companies, and then as we speak, we have decided that we'll now roll it out to cover the whole of the gold mining companies within the ambit of the chamber. So it's something we're working with for about 2 months, and then after that we'll sit down and reassess, progress made, and fashion out how we can continue working together. So I don't know what to say about this, but it's a bit, unnerving.
There was a report again in the media, and when I even engaged some of the regulators, they confirmed about the fact that in terms of reconciling the exports, what they got from outside was way, way different from what was exported out of the country.
Well, it's difficult to respond to this directly because, you see, the mining industry in Ghana itself has the formal segment and more quote-unquote informal segment. And the Chamber of Mines member companies actually represents the formal segment. When it comes to the informal segment, for example, when we talk about even small-scale mining, the reports on small-scale mining is not production, it's actually procurement. So even when you look at our official statistics, even from the get-go, there are challenges. So you can't put production, I always say, you can't put production, which is reported by mining companies, and even purchases together. You can't.
Meanwhile, the General Secretary of the Ghana Mines Workers Union, Prince William Ankra, is supporting the Vice President's assertion that mining companies are under-declaring their proceeds. Mining firms in the country are being accused of sidestepping the Precious Mineral Marketing Company to determine purity of gold exported as actual level proceeds. According to Mr. Ankra, this does not augur well for the mining sector.
I believe that the World Bank had also said that before. A neat open book, thorough investigation of the books. Like, for instance, I've told you a company telling us that wage cost and union demands is creating a business. Evidence, checklist is the opposite. So the VP is right. Excuse me, these companies and their cohorts, even though they are called nationals, sometimes they lack national identity. And multinational, their behavior, excuse me, the Australian phrase, they can screw up everybody. Unions are a thorn in their flesh because we are inquisitive. So the VP is right. We got to show eagle eyes and scrutinize every bit and piece here and there. And I think that as soon as you do that, and in recent times, when you are listed on a major stock exchange and you lie in terms of your numbers, you can be jailed. So it's important as a state we take serious view and delve into what exactly that we are hearing in terms of their financial reporting, because they are good at what they do. And so I believe that it's a wake-up call. And as a nation, we just don't need to just take that as a mere statement. He, from where he sits, and the president have got the powers. 10% shares as a golden share isn't just that we go and sleep. The gold is vested in the hands of the president. So we don't leave it to the hands of those who mine and think that they can just do anything at all. They keep championing their social responsibility as a trumpet. Excuse me, for me it's short-termist. What they do from CSR, they take that from the receipt before they pay taxes. So what are they telling us?
UMB says it is engaging some investors to help it raise more than the minimum capital requirement put forward by the Bank of Ghana. UMB is one of several banks working to meet the new capital levels of 400 million Ghana cedis by December this year. The managing director of UMB, John Ewa, tells Joy Business they are looking at raising 260 million cedis more than the new capital levels required. This was at the sidelines of the launch of an online mobile banking application known as UMB Speed Up.
Commercial banks have up to December 31 to increase their minimum capital requirement from the current 120 million cedis to 400 million cedis or lose their existence. But for Chief Executive of UMB, John Ewa, he is confident the bank will not only meet the new minimum capital requirement way before the December deadline, but also exceed the set target in excess of 260 million cedis as it scouts for investors.
A commitment, and we've expressed all the preparedness of our bank, Universal Merchant Bank, that way ahead of the December 31, 2018 deadline, we would have met the new capital requirements. We've done extensive work already. We have people already on our doors, and we just need to do a few paperwork, and we can make an announcement, the big announcement that UMB, Universal Merchant Bank, we have met our capital requirements. We are not going to raise 400 million because already have a significant amount of capital. We are raising an addition of about 260 million to meet the requirement. So it's not a lot of work on our side, but we also see it as an opportunity for us to inorganically also grow.
Mr. Ewa also expressed the bank's readiness to comply with the impending Bank of Ghana's formula for calculating interest rates. He says this formula would have a positive impact on banking operations.
We want a regime that enhances our growth and helps the customer to also deliver on their commitment. So the reference rate is coming. We welcome it. We have been working behind the scenes with the Bank of Ghana in fine-tuning. We were part of the arrangement in coming out to the reference rate formula. And a lot of work has been done with the Association of Bankers. We worked through the association on issues such as this. I would say it's a positive impact. We are in a very competitive environment, and in an environment where we've had interest rates rise all the way to upper of 30%. So if rates come down to levels that are very much affordable to our counterparties, it means that our volumes will go up.
The launch of the online mobile banking application, the UMB Speed Up, was under the theme, DigiBank, Let's Go. Bismarck Ausa, Joy Business.
All right, still live on the marketplace, and your on-air business development program, the Master Class, is today engaging entrepreneurs and businesses at its on-ground event, the Masterclass Forum. The program is currently ongoing at the Best Western Premier Hotel at the airport residential area and is under the theme Transforming Startups and SMEs, Think Local, Act Global. The program hopes to offer solutions to several key challenges facing SMEs that have been on the show in the past. We're now going live to the Premier Western Hotel and speak with our correspondent Odelia Ntiamwa, who has been standing by for some updates of the program, and she tells us that it's been quite successful so far because so many startups and SMEs operators have been engaging some business operators in the past for some solutions to their problems. We'll certainly try to link up with Odelia Ntiamwa as and when we get updates from her. Now, moving on, does Broma Natural Cocoa Powder ring a bell? A few years ago, they were the most sought after for natural cocoa powder till a breakdown in equipment crippled their operations. Now, this cocoa processing company, Allied Cocoa Products, could get a lifeline should they receive a stimulus package from government. The Joy Business Van will be meeting the Chief Executive Officer, Major Daniel Ablokwaku, retired, who was hoping to bring his company back on its feet. Let's get excerpts of that story.
Major Daniel Ablokwaku, retired, manages Allied Cocoa Products Limited.
You were in the army for 12 years.
Yes.
How did you get into this then? After retiring from the army, I was in the army as an accountant, and so I looked for a job as an accountant in Cocoa Board, and I became the management accountant for Cocoa Board. Subsequently, I became the director of finance.
His time with Cocoa Board got him really interested in the sector. So when the opportunity came to acquire a cocoa processing company in 1998, he didn't waste time.
It was just an opportunity that came. And so I informed a businessman friend of mine. And he said, well, yes, why not? Let's acquire it.
Allied Cocoa Products Limited kick-started operations within a few years, producing high-quality natural cocoa powder from Ghana's premium cocoa beans for the local and international markets. Their flagship, Broma Natural Cocoa Powder, was product of choice for many beverage makers, confectioners, ice cream makers, and households. But in 2014, the operations of this once vibrant company came to a halt following the breakdown of a major equipment.
You're telling me that it was this equipment?
Yes.
This very one?
This very equipment was damaged.
Broke down?
Yeah.
And led to the collapse.
All right, so you can get the full story on the Joy Business Fund tonight on Business Live. My name is Emmanuel Boachi. We are here still on the marketplace. Now, modest fashion business is gradually gaining momentum around the world. Driven mainly by social media and other non-traditional channels, modest fashion has often been associated with Islamic traditions. However, it is fast catching up among the secular community as well. With modest fashion now making its way into mainstream fashion business, our reporter Fauzia to Adam explores the booming modest fashion business in Ghana and has come through with this report.
Modest fashion involves dressing stylishly to cover almost the entire body. Until recently, fashion has been quite conservative and been at odds with what's considered cool in the Western world. However, another trend which involves covering almost every part of the body is increasingly becoming more appealing, especially to young adults. The loose robe-like dress is synonymous with traditional Muslim communities and worn by Muslim women. It's also been adopted by women of different faiths and cultures for various reasons. Top luxurious brands such as D&J, Nike, local designers are cashing and coming out with new market designs, with modest fashion gradually making its way into the mainstream fashion industry. According to reports, modest fashion purchases by Muslim women were estimated at $44 billion in 2016. Co-owner of Reagan Closets, an online marketplace for modest clothing for women, Ganiatu Salau, says the market for apparel presents much growth opportunity here in Ghana.
There are more modest brands coming up now, so it should tell you that there's a future for modest wears in Ghana. That should tell you that people are actually beginning to appreciate modesty. So there's a future. But at the moment, the fashion industry doesn't really, should I say before, there was not enough room for modest wears. But at the moment, you see, aside young entrepreneurs, you realize that even the top-notch entrepreneurs or top-notch fashion entrepreneurs are actually beginning to design more modest wears. So you realize that there's a future for modest wears.
Social media has played a significant role in bringing women together and running an online shop. But how much of an investment goes into advertising modest wears online in this country?
It's costly, actually.
It's very costly.
We have to rent the place, so it's costly. You have to pay photography, makeup artist, your model, your stylist. It's cost intensive.
Okay, so are you the exclusive owner, or there's something?
We are co-owners, and it's a partnership. The first thing is it's co-owned by my sister and I, that's Rafiat Salah. But Reagan's has going to be a partnership. So we are partners with Bond Photography, that's our photographers. We are partners with our stylist undercover, and we are partners with Rhymes Effects, and we also partner with our models as well. So everything.
I think
aside that too, more entrepreneurial seminars should be held. It could be an NGO, it could be the government, it could be any organizations. I think when you have more seminars, you are able to inspire the young ones who do not have to sit down and wait for white-collar jobs. Okay. So if there are more entrepreneurial seminars, if there are more talks on how to be an entrepreneur, how to start up yourself, I think people would actually be interested in going into entrepreneurship than sitting at home and doing nothing.
Talking of that, Joy Business is having this masterclass.
Okay.
Yeah. Somewhere next week, Wednesday.
Yes.
We are bringing the masterclass to the ground for entrepreneurs like you.
Okay.
So that you get to interact one-on-one with people.
Yes.
And I think that's our way of helping.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, our way of helping young entrepreneurs.
That other media houses or other organizations are doing what you're doing, trust me, there will be no unemployment in Ghana.
For now, the second lady Samira Baumia's fashion style could be seen to be promoting modest fashion amongst women in Ghana. Fazito Adam for Joy Business.
And this is where we have to draw the curtains down on this afternoon's edition of The Marketplace. Thank you so much for joining me, and do join again same time tomorrow. My name is Emmanuel Bachi. I hope you have a good afternoon.